Welcome to the Board Game Snobs podcast. Critically harsh reviews with a touch of class.
Archie and Jughead? Archie Entries. Riverdale? Archie Comics? Never heard of it. Riverdale TV show? Kids these days. We're on, by the way.
Oh, we're on?
That's Superman.
No,
I was about to say, surely you know who Superman is.
We're on right now?
Do you know who that is up there?
Is the podcast running?
No.
Are we recording?
No.
I've been recording for the last several seconds.
Why didn't you tell me we're recording?
You don't know who Captain Benjamin Sisko is?
Captain Benjamin Sisko was the commander of Deep Space Nine and series season 1. I believe my series season 2, he was promoted to captain, which I was puzzled by. He was a lieutenant commander at Wolf 359 when the Borg, during the Best of Both Worlds,
right.
I believe it was called the two-parter Next Generation. During that battle, he survived and then was sent to Deep. Why are we talking about Star Trek?
That's when the Borg attacked?
Yeah, he was. That's like the pilot episode of Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
And then he gets promoted and sent out.
What's your favorite Star Trek series?
Oh, it's got to be Next Generation.
Next Generation? Okay.
I'm in love with Picard. I'm super excited about
Picard or Sisko?
Definitely Picard. Picard is straight up.
Sisko's a clone of
captain.
Picard to me.
He is, but Sisko is a little more risque.
Well,
Like he does what he has to do, but Picard's there. I think they are kind of.
Picard's, yeah.
Yeah.
Picard's by the rules, Sisko's by the rules, but Sisko would go a little bit his own way.
Every once in a while and do some stuff.
Bust your chops.
I really like the fact that they were worried that the show was kind of draining, and so they went ahead and brought in Worf. This is.
Yes,
are we
Commander.
really recording?
Yes.
This podcast is about board games. This is the Board Game Snobs. Welcome to the show. My name is Jerry. I am the primary host of this podcast. And this podcast banters
That is false.
at the beginning, but then transitions nicely into discussing modern board gaming.
Segues. Or hard merges.
With me
Patent pending.
is my dear friend, my one and only, whom I could never replace unless I had a monetary incentive to do so, Gabi, and Enrique's here as well.
Hello.
With us today. Oh, wait a second.
With me today is Jerry and Enrique.
Hello there.
A brief statement regarding
there.
our last podcast.
Hello, Obi-Wan.
We are not sponsored
Your father.
by Zatarans. They send a cease and desist.
A cease and desist.
Yes. So we must assist, apparently, because we had our marketing.
Please
our marketing handled.
desist.
Our marketing is handled by Plagiarist, and he apparently just decided that we were sponsored by Zatarans, and we offended most of the people in the greater Louisiana area because apparently Zatarans
And
is
San
still
Francisco.
a thing down there, and San Francisco.
I have a hat.
East Coast to West Coast, baby.
I have a Zatarans hat.
East Coast.
I like New England IPAs.
I don't like IPAs. I am full-blown Icelandic beer. Vladi.
Why do you say Icelandic?
Because
there's no T in it.
It's a word. It's a word.
It's a D.
Making up words.
Vlad
Icelandic.
and Chris LaFleur have sold me on Iceland beer, and I'm forever there.
Is it cold?
Yes. It's cold. I like it cold. I don't know. Should you drink it room temperature?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Okay, I've never been to Europe. Do they really drink their beers room temperature?
I spent a week in London, and I spent several weeks in Poland. And there was not a lot of ice in terms of like ice from the refrigerator. Like they drank a lot of their liquids chilled or room temperature.
Really? Chilled. Slightly chilled.
Slightly chilled.
Everybody chill.
But not like how we like it here, like a scads of ice.
Welcome to the Ice Age.
I need somebody to settle something for me. All of our listeners
do it.
that are in the European
At your
area.
service.
Is IPAs, are those a thing, or is that relegated to just the Americans?
It's called an India Pale Ale.
Indian,
So I
not
would-
India. Indian.
Oh.
Okay, so it's not. I'm going to stop you right there. It's not being made.
Indian? It's not in India?
No.
All these beers are not from India?
No.
India?
It's an IPA.
Wow.
I think that is just a American thing, and we in
American.
America.
You said American.
I don't say American.
I think I did American.
I'm embracing my accent. So here in America, we tend to take things and we do our own spin on them.
So you just said things.
Things?
You don't say things.
I don't say
You
things.
said
I say
things. And you just said, I don't have an accent.
I don't have an accent, but
Yes,
I'm
you do.
embracing it.
You just said things.
Why don't you just mind your business?
And you say thank. Well, like when I'm thinking, you say, I was thanking the other day.
Sometimes I like
who are you thanking?
I like to thank deeply.
you.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Appreciate you. Enrique just handed me this. Craft beer. Let's see. There are not more than a few dozen pale ales made in Germany. The new wave of European breweries inspired by the American craft beer revolution make plenty of IPAs, though. They are probably easier to find here, meaning in America, though. Most European drinkers, not craft beer nerds like we have here in the U.S. in abundance, have probably never heard of an IPA like we make in America.
Huh.
Most English IPAs are tame in comparison, though that's not a comment on their quality. They probably won't like it if they do because it's not in German or English tradition. So that answers my question. The question being, does German and English countries, do they have IPAs or things of that nature? And I highly suspected that they don't, because when I was in Poland, when I was in Krakow,
Man, you talk a lot.
there was no dark beers.
You just talked.
Is there something you'd like to talk about? This is literally a podcast. Literally a podcast. This is what we're supposed to do. We are supposed to talk about board games. I'd like to talk about a board game.
Why do yogurts like going to the museum?
I don't know.
Because they're cultured.
Please follow us on Instagram, mainly Instagram. You can come to a Facebook group. I am working on the Discord.
Which one? Oh,
The Discord is in the works.
Nobody knows what that is.
What? Facebook? Everybody
Discord.
knows Facebook. The Discord will be...
Okay, are we doing the Facebook group or page? I need to know. I'm confused.
You don't know because you're not on the Facebook like I am. I'm cool.
I try to get on there every now and then.
I'm cool. I
See what's
posted some
shaking.
stuff on Twitter.
Oh, God.
Oh, man.
What are you posting?
I like Twitter. You get to say everything that you want in 144 characters, and then you just post it, and then some people retweet it, some people gripe at you, and some people you offend. I offend. I offend greatly.
You do.
I'm the Dave Chappelle of podcasting.
You wish.
Oh, yeah.
You
I am. I
wish.
am. Sticks and stones, baby. Hey,
If you were just as funny,
I am.
charismatic.
I am charismatic. I am
It's helpful for
charismatic.
somebody to declare.
between
That's like
charisma
saying we like to have
and
fun
being-
here.
We do
I
like to
am
have fun here,
charismatic.
and I am charismatic, and I
No,
am
you're
also humble.
manipulative.
Super humble.
Super humble.
Wait, Enrique, what?
Did you say something?
Yeah, he's
Why is his mic
manipulative.
on?
Stop interrupting. Let the boy speak. Go on, Enrique.
There's a difference between charismatic and manipulative.
Shut
It was
his
a mistake.
mic.
It
Shut
was a
his
mistake.
mic. Why
I'm
did you let
sorry.
him speak?
My bad.
Why'd you let him
Okay.
speak? Sit over there and eat your Zatarans. The San Francisco treat. The board games that we want to talk about today are rather salty. It's Underwater Cities, which I think it would be duly noted that some people have described it as being similar to Terraforming Mars. I would like to...
Similar or similar?
Similar.
No.
No?
It's not simu. There's no U.
There's no U?
Similar.
Sima?
Yes.
All right, so it's similar
Thank you.
to Terraforming Mars. But before we do that, I'd like to read some fan mails. We have fans, and they send us mails. And we also have female fans as well. Let's see here. Troy, did we ever figure out how to pronounce his name? It doesn't matter how to pronounce his last
We'll
name.
just stick with Troy.
We'll just stick with Troy. Troy? Maybe he's from Australia.
that's it.
I think his name is actually Troy. Troy he was just talking about some of the board games that we were discussing, talking about. Oh, he was writing us about the term walkabout. Are you ready for this? He says, yes, because you used the term walkabout. You
did?
You did.
Me?
Yeah. My understanding, this is Troy, of the term is that some sort of rite of passage for the indigenous Australians, usually as adolescents. I think it's quite significant spiritually. But, as has been the case with most of our cultural heritage, we white men have taken the term and become synonymous with someone just wandering off. To be honest, some of your more political correct types will probably accuse you of being racist if you use the term walkabout. So no, I've not personally gone on walkabout. Generally in Australia, unless you possess some sort of Mick Dundee level bushcraft skills, just heading off into the bush means you will die horribly.
What's in the bush?
That just out in the woods. We use the term woods
Two
here.
in the bush?
In the bush. But
Better one in the hand. I always
it's better
heard.
than two in the bush. Is that a saying they have? That's not. I don't think that's not right.
Wait, what?
It's just the center of the country, right? The bush? Or is it the desert?
I don't know.
Okay, well, they say bush. Are there bushes in the desert? This podcast is so ignorant.
Oh, wait a minute.
We don't know
So
anything.
Troy talks about his family has a trophy that the winner of the most recent game takes ownership of. Any game counts. The holder can only refuse 3 challenges to play before they must play or forfeit the family cup. Currently, his 6-year-old Mackenzie is the holder. Mackenzie.
McKinsey.
And he has a son named Cooper who desperately wants him to buy Memoir 44, which he should.
Wait, isn't Chris's son's name Cooper?
I don't know.
What's Chris's son's name?
Oh, no, that was...
Captain America.
That was Captain America's son. His name... why are you putting me in kids' names?
Sorry.
Because kids' names are always... Because I can't even
thought it was
remember my
Coop-
own kids' names.
Okay.
His kid's name is...
Ian.
No, you're terrible
Oh.
with names. How dare you?
Where did I get Ian from?
Insulting everybody's names. It's
Fleming.
Flynn. It is Flynn. It's Flynn.
Finn.
Finn. It's Finnegan. It's Finnegan. It's Finnegan. Yes. Yes.
We made it in a roundabout, not a walkabout.
Troy,
Way.
you should buy your son Cooper Memoir 44 because I love Memoir 44 as a game, just which reminds me that Richard Borg just passed away, and he was the designer of Memoir 44. It's a great game. It's a great game. I have 2 copies of it, actually, because I have the Overlord expansion, and I'm waiting for my 6-year-old to get old enough, basically, my 6-year-old to get old enough to play Memoir 44, because I love it.
I think Troy has one more child.
What is this child's name?
Molly?
That's not how you say her name. You
That's how
butchered
it's
her
spelled.
name. Maylee?
It's M-A-H, as generally
Molly?
Molly?
I think it's Molly.
Molly.
Why don't you research this stuff?
I don't know how to
terrible.
people spell names in a way that I'm not familiar with, and I just have to go with what I know.
She loves Ticket to Ride,
TTR.
which is a good game.
OG.
I have the OG Ticket to Ride put up. So Troy's like me. Troy's a family man. He's a family man. He's got a bunch of
But you're
kids.
always over here. Drinking.
Well, I'm sure Troy understands that occasionally you have to get away from your kids. It happens. Every father.
Right now, your daughter's saying, "Where's Daddy? Where's Daddy? He's in garbage again. Your wife hates me."
Oh, she does. But this makes me a better husband because now, when you're around your kids all the time, they really get irritating. And you just have to break off, unwind for a little bit, drink a fifth, and then go home.
There you go.
It works well. I slapped your table. I'm
It's
sorry.
going to reverberate.
Reverberations. Suffocation.
Constipation.
Oh, Enrique.
Yes.
How have you been lately? The constipation made me remember that you were here. I know that recently you've been having a lot of gastrointestinal problems. You've been doing all right?
Yeah.
Good.
All right.
All right, enough of that. So, that's the fan mail. Wait a minute. I've got more fan mail.
You read one.
We've got people fan mail us, man. We have all types of people. Paul wrote in. He talked about Pipeline. Paul, we bought Pipeline. We played Pipeline.
We paid the piper and played Pipeline.
We're going to have to do a review on it. I have some deep thoughts, like Jack Handy thoughts on Pipeline. Marco wrote in, "Hello guys, just give my 2 cents. I think the best acting role of Sly," referring to Sylvester Stallone, I'm assuming, was in Copland. One of the few films he actually looked like he was acting. Still really enjoy your podcast.
I remember him doing that because anytime somebody gains like 50 pounds, they're serious about the role.
If I gained 50 pounds for a role.
I've been preparing for a role my whole life.
If they ever want to do the story of
Gabi,
no, what's his-
gain 200 pounds. Why don't you play me in a movie?
I couldn't.
How would you?
How would I play you?
What would you do?
Very slowly, and I would just gesticulate like a lot. Just walk around.
Gesticulate?
Just like.
Do I gesticulate? You've used that term in reference to me before.
A lot sometimes.
What do I do?
You at times when I'm expressing myself very succinctly, and I am making a point. I'm making a clear, concise point that you can't rebut. You'll go,
You're a butt.
yes, that's exactly. You start making noises, and you hit
You're
me
the
with
one
a
that
cheap
uses
shot.
words.
Nice comeback.
Good one.
Yes, I use words.
Words. Well, that must be nice. Hey,
What is that guy actor's name?
who?
The actor Phillip Seymour Hoffman.
Right.
If I gained 50 pounds and they need a biography done of him, I look exactly like him.
would. You really would.
I could do. So if they ever do Seymour Hoffman, if they ever need
Philip Seymour Hoffman's best role.
best role,
Yes. Twister.
do you remember? That was because that was filmed in my hometown. That was like my area where I grew up. Where they filmed Twister up north there in Oklahoma.
What was the name of it?
There's like they did up north in the northern part of Oklahoma where all the like Chickasaw,
Yeah.
Choctaw,
I remember
all
them
that up
showing that
north.
water tower and had a name on there that I know the name of it.
Yes, that's all up there. And
Yes.
when that show come out, that was very disconcerting to see a show that was shot in your area, like you recognize the landmarks, and then to see the guy from Princess Bride get killed.
Oh.
That was devastating. That was devastating.
He got done wrong in that
He
movie.
did get done wrong. And tornadoes don't do that.
They don't what?
They don't seek out Carrie.
They're not sentient.
They're not sentient. They're not like, this is the bad guy. I'm going to throw a ladder at him. Oh, that's a great show.
Twister came out in my heyday as a teenager. I was like 18,
Man, it was
19.
great.
Came out in 96, I think. Go to the movies. That movie was awesome.
It's
Helen Hunt in her heyday.
Oh, there was nothing better. than
Bill
Helen Hunt.
Pullman?
Nothing.
No, wait.
Yeah, it was
Was
Bill,
that
wasn't it?
Pullman?
It was
I can't
Bill.
remember.
Wasn't it Bill?
Is that the right Bill?
Yeah. It was a great
That
show.
was a good movie.
And to make it, and this was before nowadays, because the tornadoes have sharks in them. But back in my day, which I had experienced a tornado firsthand, but currently we're just now recovering. Florida's recovering from the hurricane, which name leaves me. I'm terrible with hurricane names. Dorian. They
like
used
that?
to name hurricanes all after women. They've stopped that now.
Should make them hurricanes. Am I right?
That's,
Never
is that why they did it? No, you're fooling me. I'm glad I'm
Like an old stupid joke.
I'm glad I'm drinking coffee, because if I wasn't, I'd be really irritated right now. I think you'd have put one over on a hurricane. I get it. That was good.
Remember when they call him the extreme? He's the extreme.
I don't know who's the extreme.
Bill Pullman. Is Bill Pullman the right guy?
Yeah, the extreme.
No, Paxton.
Paxton.
Bill Pullman is Independence Day.
He's the guy that
Bill
we will not
Paxton
go
is-
quietly into the night.
Yes.
He's the
Bill
president.
Paxton is game over, man. Game over. Bill Paxton's best movie, go.
This show is about board games.
Okay, let's get back on track.
We're going to talk about a game that's very salty. Underwater cities. Get it? Because they're saltwater.
Very good.
Thank you.
I was trying to think of a segue. I was like, did it have tracks in it? No, it did not. It had tunnels, but Rike kept calling them roads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where we're going, Marty, we don't need roads.
Underwater Cities is a game about building underwater cities. Why am I not? Why am I so slow right now? I'm sorry, my brain just reset. Give me a
Thank
moment.
you for nailing that
this intro.
intro
I
to this
got
guy.
this is why I'm.
That's quite the synopsis.
I am the primary host.
Whatever.
In
I'll talk about it.
Go ahead, get it.
All right, Underwater Cities is a game. It is a game. Why are you laughing at that part?
Keep going.
It is indeed a game.
Vladimir Suchy is the designer. I'll help you.
Vladimir Suchy.
I love that name.
I believe he also did Steam Time.
He also did
Where's Steve
Century
Dyke?
Spice Road.
Really?
And I believe that Starship Samurai that we kind of sort of didn't like.
Oh. Did he do that?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
Did I do
Well, you got swings and you got they're right there. Steam Time. Did he do Steam Time? Enrique, go over there and check that out real quick for me. So Underwater Cities is a game that has been very much compared to Terraforming Mars,
Which is, yes.
which is an apt comparison. Does it say Vladimir? Oh, no, my bad. My bad. Rudiger Doran. Completely wrong guy. Completely wrong guy. So I will strike all that from this podcast. I will not, because I get tired of editing. Editing this podcast is a lot of work, because when you talk as sporadically and as nonsensical as we do, it's hard to know what to edit out and to keep in. But we press on. Underwater Cities for 1 to 4 players. I had it all set up to play solo. It should be very simple. Basically, you would block off the spots on the board that you go to, and you can play it solo. But it's been compared to Terraforming Mars quite simply because instead of terraforming Mars, you're terraforming an underwater city. You're building a city, you build these domes, you build tunnels, then you build another dome. So you're connecting a city to a city to a city to a city. And then around those domes, you can build all these other laboratory, desalinization plants for, I guess, water and the green.
You desalinate things.
Desalinate.
You take the salt out of it.
Right. So
like
right.
if this
so
podcast is too salty.
Water. So you would Walter, not Walter.
Walter.
Walter
so
Goggins.
if you take
Take the water
if you take
out.
Walter Goggins
Take Walter
and you took
out.
the salt out of it,
just
you would
be
have
like
Walter
anybody.
Cronkite.
See, keep drinking, Jerry. Here, take another sip.
Teeling. Briefly, not to interrupt you, but Teeling Irish whiskey is one of my favorite whiskeys. The small batch, not the
It's
malt, single malt.
Single malt.
I like the small batch rather
The
than
single malt is very good. It's a little bit smokier. Me and Jerry like the regular.
That is very nice. You can have this back.
I will have that back. Enrique, grab that. Grab the Soul Trains decanter for me.
The other one.
Nope, that's a bottle.
That's a decanter.
You'll get there someday, Enrique. So, Underwater Cities, you're building all these things that has been compared very much to... Would you say it's because apparently it's like you're terraforming under the sea? Under the sea. Oh, this podcast is terrible. Go ahead.
No.
This is
the live.
You know what's bad?
What?
The more terrible probably the podcast is to most people, the more I enjoy it personally.
The live action. Disney keeps making all these
Little Mermaid? Oh, they're making a live action Little Mermaid. Is that what you're going to say? Yes. I thought that was what you were going to say.
No, I didn't know.
Yes.
Okay,
they're making everything else live action.
I just found out they're making a live action. Are you ready for this?
Dun, 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 dun.
Lady and the Tramp.
Yes.
That is terrible.
Yes.
Terrible.
So are the dogs going to talk?
I guess. Like they
would
did
have
in The
to.
Lion King.
Oh, God.
It's awful. Absolutely awful.
Well, there goes another part of my
This is
childhood.
Tullamore Dew.
What?
Tullamore Dew.
I never heard of it.
It's an Irish whiskey. It's fairly on the bargain side of Irish whiskeys.
Bargain side.
Good
The
bargain.
Equate brand of whiskey.
Here you go, Enrique. Put that back up there.
Is that what you were keeping?
Soul Trains. I put that in the decanter. Very much used. Thank you very much. Okay, so Underwater Cities. Back on track, Jerry. Focus.
Continue. I am. I'm here.
It's basically your... How many spots are on the board? You have 4... Is there 4?
12.
There's 12 spots on the board.
I don't know this to be true.
Okay. Well, there's either 4 or 5 per side. So it's
Okay.
either 12 or 15 to me. You have 3 actions per round. You can put this little... It's not a worker. What
It's
is
an
it?
action
An action token.
token.
It's a piece of cardboard.
It's a piece of cardboard.
You put it down, and there's 12 to 15 spaces. We don't know. We don't do research before game. We just played the game.
We're not here.
We're
not here for research.
And you gather your resources. You're going to gather kelp, steel plast, money, and what's the other one? Bioplasty?
Bioplasm. Not to be like ectoplasm. That's from ghosts. And neoplasm is cancer.
Okay, so not those.
You want bioplasm.
So you're going to gather these so that you can therefore build your cities.
Correct.
You can build your cities. So once you've built a city, then you can use another resource, and build these. What are they? They're just buildings around the city.
They're just
to help the
manufacturing.
city grow. What's the point of those buildings thematically?
Desalination, which obviously you take salt out of water so you can make it potable.
Okay.
As opposed to non-potable. And then you have the little kelp farms, which is for food. And then you have the little science stations, the labs, which help you make science, because science is a tangible object in this game. Let's make science. But also somehow
Let's get together and make some science.
Also helps you make steel plast, because with science you can understand metallurgy. And that's a thing. Go ahead. I'm continuing on.
I don't know what you're talking about now.
And if you build there's two types of cities. There's the cities that don't have biomatter that you just make, and they don't score you victory points each round. And there's the ones that you can make
this is why I don't like
with
describing
biomass that do score you victory points. But there's a third city that you can make out of rock and roll, because that's how I built all my cities. Vladimir Suchy. House rules, hashtag house rules.
So basically throughout the game, you're going to gather resources, put your pieces out there to gather resources to build cities and roads and buildings. And the more buildings you have around your city, the more points that city is worth in-game. You can also buy cards that give you in-game points that also provide you all these random resources and all, just they break the game up, break some of the rules, etc., like every other game ever. But as far as Terraforming Mars is severely random. That's what it's known for. It has all these cards. What? Go ahead.
Wait a minute before you go on to Terraforming Mars, because I'm going to get super salty about that. I don't want to be desalinated before I get Terraforming Mars.
Okay, go.
I'd want to talk about Vladimir Suchy and this design. So Vladimir Suchy is a designer that I know his name. He has made games such starting back in 2007. This is according to Board Game Geek. League of Six, never heard of it. 2009, he made Shipyard.
Oh, wow. That was him. Yeah.
Horrible. 2010, 20th Century. Never heard of it.
Shipyard is highly regarded.
Okay, well, they can regard it somewhere else. 2011, Last Will.
Okay.
Respected.
It's sitting on the shelf.
I like Last Will.
Sitting on the shelf.
2015, The Chronicles Club.
Probably been outdone by other bidding auction games by Ryan
But a
Knizia.
unique design. Nonetheless,
granted.
2017,
Brewster's Millions.
2017, he had a huge hit called Pulsar 2849. Worst title ever. But it's on our list to play.
How do you come up with that number?
2849.
2849.
It's like 8.
That's probably the last four of his number.
Yeah, it's probably something like that. So in 2018, Underwater Cities come out. It was a big deal. I never got to play it. Gobby kept talking about it. It didn't interest me. I saw some reviews of it. I saw a gameplay of it, which greatly interested me.
Whose?
I can't remember. It was just some random person on YouTube. I'm sorry. I would give a shout out if I could. The gameplay of this was very simple. You have 3 cards in your hands. Your 3 cards match some of the 3 colors that are out on the board, either green, red, or yellow. And during your turn, you're going to place an action on one of those spots that's either green, red, or yellow, and you're going to play a card. If your card matches the action space that you went to, you get to do the card. If it doesn't, you don't. That is a very simplistic mechanism. Vladimir Suchy took a very simplistic mechanism and he built the framework of the game around it. And here's something that I often like to quote from one of the greatest designers of board games of all time, Mr. Martin Wallace. Mr. Martin Wallace, one time during an interview, said something that I myself filed away because I thought one of these days I might design a board game. I might need to keep this in mind.
What would you design?
He said, I have designs. I take over the world. Martin Wallace said that you should take one core mechanic, refine it down to it, and refine it. Make it as simplistic as you can and build the game around it. Don't have too many mechanics, but have one main solid mechanic that works flawlessly. I have noticed that all the senior designers, all the major designers seem to do that. They take one mechanic, they streamline it in such a way and build everything else around one central mechanic and let the game flow around that. Vladimir Suchy did that with this simple mechanic. So basically, you are incentivized to go to this area of the board on this action and play this card to get this benefit. There are times for which you cannot. that you have to you desperately want to go to this side of the board and play a card that doesn't match its color and thus don't get the benefit. But the feeling that you get from comboing your cards, from going to this green area and playing this green card and getting this benefit, and then thinking, no, I'm going to hold on to this card. You don't have a bunch of cards in your hand. You just always have 3. You can
There's several different types of cards. Some cards you play are instant actions. Some cards you play, you can do an action. You keep it in your tableau, and you can do the action once per turn round.
Right.
And then there's some actions that are in-game. Then there's other actions that happen during production, which is the whole thing we won't go into right now.
So he designed this one central mechanic around this. Very simple. Elegant is the term that people often throw around.
For instance, I could play my action here. It lets me do one of my action cards that lets me upgrade my tunnels. I do that action, it upgrades my tunnels. I have another card that says every time you upgrade a tunnel, I get a free this or that. I use that card, and then you just accumulate resources by comboing your cards.
Right. This combo thing that happens when you're planning your moves is very satisfying. I don't like that. I'm not one of those people that like comboing cards and having combinations. I'm also not the type of person that likes to have all these cards scattered out everywhere. I hate that. I hate having a bunch of stuff scattered everywhere and having to remember, oh, when I do this, I have this card that does this and blah, 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 blah.
That's why you hated Terraforming Mars.
Thus, Terraforming Mars was one that I just never understood.
Aside from the randomness of the card draw.
I'm about to get on my soapbox about Terraforming Mars, and I will offend everybody solely and explain to them why Terraforming Mars is not a well-designed game.
In your opinion.
No, not in my opinion. Objectively, factually, take it to the bank.
Okay, if you say so.
Vladimir Suchy designed Underwater Cities to be streamlined. It has a solo variant that literally, to corn me.
Please don't corn me.
Coin?
Quote?
Why am I saying coin?
Don't be corning me. You were cornfused.
You're very corny.
That's what happened.
The solo variant of this game is 2 paragraphs. It's awesome. If you're a solo player, playing this game solo quickly teaches you the game. I love Underwater Cities. If I had played it in 2018...
You love it.
I love it.
You said those words.
If it was
Have you told your wife that lately?
I haven't. I forget constantly. It's those kids.
If only she had 3 action points.
Yes. If it was easy. If you had these 3 choices and you can combo these cards, perhaps I would.
I love you.
We've been married 13 years. After 13 years, you think our marriage would be elegant. But it is, because I love her deeply.
Oh. You got to say that because she might listen to this.
She doesn't listen to us. She hates the sound of my voice. Underwater Cities would have been probably one of my favorite games of 2018.
You loved it.
And
it's 2018, right?
Yes.
Not 2019. Okay.
I do not like everything else about it. I don't like the component quality. The cards are cheap.
The little domes.
It's very scatterbrained. It's thematically not. You don't feel
it's abstract.
Like it's abstract.
You're not building any. That's what I told Jerry when we were playing. I was like, some games like Western Legends. You can get into it. You can get into the role. You can pretend you're this guy. You can do voices. You can be silly. You can play it. Underwater Cities, it's not like you can really get into character because there is no character. You're just collecting this, collect that, build this. Collect this, collect that, build this. That's the game.
Yeah, and it's resource management with a tableau builder. And again, towards the end of the game, you start buying in-game victory cards and trying to make sure your engine is lined out. And so let me transition into why I'm talking about it in connection with Terraforming Mars. Saw on Facebook, saw it on BGG, many people comparing Terraforming Mars to Underwater Cities, which is why I bought the game, which is why I was interested in playing it, because Terraforming Mars was so huge. Was that 2017? 2016 when it came out?
17.
I can't recall, but it was insane. How many expansions does this game have? It's insane. And it's rated like, what is it, ranked number 11, number 10?
No.
What is it rated on BGG?
If I knew how to operate BGG, I'd look right now.
It's way up there. It is highly respected in terms of board games. I never
It's in the top 10.
Never really liked it. It was okay. I enjoyed it. I understood why people liked it. But there are some fundamental issues. Fundamental. Not fundamental. No. Fundamental issues with Terraforming Mars that you don't see in Underwater Cities. This is my biggest complaint. And Gabi played Terraforming Mars solo for the longest time. And I made the comment, if you would separate the cards out, the blue and the red and the green and all the various cards into different piles, where you knew which type of card you were drawing from, I bet you could beat the game. The first solo game that I played, I did exactly that. And guess what? I won. And said, wait a minute. The randomness of Terraforming Mars, this huge deck of cards that you're drawing from, really takes away a lot of the strategy. So in Terraforming Mars, when you're drawing these cards or drafting them, you have to pay for the cards and then keep them in your hand, and then you have to pay to play them, but you can't play them unless the board meets.
Terraforming Mars is number 3.
It's number 3?
Yes.
It's number 3.
Gloomhaven Pandemic Legacy Season 1.
You're kidding me.
Terraforming Mars.
Terraforming Mars, according to the board game community, is the 3rd greatest game ever invented.
Yes, but I mean, the board game 100 has lost a lot of esteem.
I have lost faith in humanity.
Just because of that very thing. Pandemic Legacy Season 1, everybody loved it, so they just rate. Well, they're even talking about Tapestry. It's like getting either 10s or 1s, and people have not even played the game.
Tapestry.
So, the future Stonemaier game. So, I mean, it really doesn't matter. But yes, Terraforming Mars is a mega hit.
So, Terraforming Mars, here's what's wrong with the game. Number 1, it's too long. Number 2, the drafting mechanic, that is the variant of the game, where you draft cards, makes the game even longer, but that's how the game should be played. You should draft those cards. Mm-hmm. Number 3, what Underwater Cities gets right is that it segregates all the beginning cards into eras. Era 1, 2, and 3. So when you're in this stage of the game, you're drawing from Era 1, Era 2, and then Era 3. Mm-hmm. Terraforming Mars could learn from that. That is a sign of a great designer knowing which cards should be in play and when they should be in play.
Well, you may have a card that you can play it when your oxygen is nearly complete, or your heat's nearly complete, or whatever.
In Underwater Cities, you can flip the player boards where you're building your cities, and there is some difference on the back of the boards. There's some asymmetry, but it doesn't break the game. In Terraforming Mars, you can have these companies that straight up will break the game if you get the right cards in your hand. If I have steel and I get this card that allows me to use steels to build fighters, and those fighters give me victory points every single round, I'm going to stomp you to the ground.
Right.
You will not convince me in any way, shape, or form using any type of spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet, to convince me that Terraforming Mars is a balanced game. It is not.
It can't be.
If you were to get Vladimir Suchy on the phone, do you have his number?
Yes.
Get him on the phone right now. I guarantee you the man would explain to you how well balanced Underwater Cities actually is. He didn't put anything in that game that would sway the game into one person's favor or another.
Hello?
Don't. Hang up on him.
Vlad? Is that you?
It's probably like 4 o'clock
in
the morning.
Czechoslovakia?
In Czechoslovakia right now. I always wanted to go to Prague.
The Czech Republic.
That is a beautiful.
Czechoslovakia is old, right? Like
yeah.
It's Czech
it's
and
Czech
Slovakia.
Republic. I went down a river that was between Poland and the Czech Republic. It was beautiful. I can't remember. It was a rafting trip. Many years ago.
Prague is like one of the cities I'd like to see over there.
I'd love to see
That's
Prague.
about as far east Europe as I want to go, though.
Really? I would go into Russia in a heartbeat. I'd go to St. Petersburg in a moment. I love it. It's just a beautiful area.
Why?
Just because the history behind it.
For example?
Well, just it's like one of the oldest cities in the world. The architecture. Like there's certain...
Wait. Russia has one of the oldest cities in the world. We're talking about Egypt, Iraq.
Well, in comparison... I mean,
you just said one of the oldest cities in the world.
All right, what
I'm talking like thousands, like China, thousands of years old. Where does Russia rank? It's not thousands of years old, is it?
I don't know. I'm just saying.
Well, you said it. You said it's one of the oldest cities in the world.
Okay.
You spoke. You may have misspoke just then.
St. Petersburg.
How old is it?
To Wikipedia. St. Petersburg is a Russian port city on the Baltic Sea. Uh-huh. It was the imperial capital for 2 centuries.
200 years.
Yes, sorry.
Oh, that's so old.
Founded in 1703. By Peter. Peter was so awesome they called him Peter the Great.
Petersburg.
Yes. You know how great it is. Peter and I understand ourselves because he had to sit in there like, Peter, what are you going to name it? He's like, Petersburg.
Obviously.
My family had Bakersfield. He had Petersburg. We understand this. It remains Russian central cultural center with venues such as the Mariinsky Theater hosting opera and ballet and the State Russian Museum showcasing Russian art. I love the Russian arts. I like their
Like what?
They have the best writers ever, like Chekhov. All those guys, not
From Star Trek?
Not that guy. No,
Nuclear vessels?
yeah, all the writers and all their. I mean, their architecture is just
It's neat. I like the little round spires on their buildings on the Kremlin.
But then again, I like the opera stuff. I like that. We just came from the Dallas Symphony Orchestra. We just came the other day from watching. This is going to sound so hillbilly, but when you say it, but at the same time, we went and watched Empire Strikes Back.
How's that hillbilly?
It's hillbilly because they cut the soundtrack off of it and then had the Dallas Symphony Orchestra play the soundtrack live in the theater.
Oh, I've heard of that before.
It was pretty awesome.
Really?
Yes.
I'd like to see that.
You should have came, but you didn't come. But your stepdaughter did, and she loved it.
Oh, well, yes.
And also, when I was watching The Empire Strikes Back, there was something that... Did
you notice anything new in the movie?
I did. I was telling Enrique about this. This bothered me greatly. So we're watching Empire Strikes Back. Spoiler alert. Vader is...
It's his dad?
This is dad. They do like the worst paternity reveal ever. But during
Maury shows up.
You are the father. During the infamous lightsaber fight,
You have betrayed me, Maury.
I'm sitting next to my 7-year-old who has watched this show before in the past,
right,
but doesn't remember the details. She has a 7-year-old ADHD attention span. So she's watching it in the theater, so she's rapt attention. And there's the lightsaber fight, which my little girl just loves this lightsaber fight. And all of a sudden, Luke...
The one between Luke and Darth?
Yes, and Luke gets his hand chopped off.
It's not quite as exciting as you remember as a child.
No, but as they're fighting... It's just this scene where all of a sudden they cut the Luke and his hand just gets lopped off, and my little girl's like, I'm like, oh, did you miss that? Did you miss?
She don't remember that?
No, she didn't remember that. And she's just devastated by this guy's hand just going. And it was weird when they shot him.
He never bled.
He doesn't bleed because it cauterizes.
Yeah.
Cauterizes.
By that
everybody knows that lightsabers cauterize.
Often used in medicine.
So, this gets me talking about Star Wars. We're going to segue this here in just a second. I'm going to come out and say it right now. I have been a Star Wars fanboy for a long time. This upcoming Star Wars film looks like the worst I've ever seen. I am not excited in one way, shape, or form of it. This whole weird double lightsaber thing, Darth Ray. I don't like it. I'm not.
If she ends up Darth Ray, I'm done with Star Wars.
Oh, no, I'm not done with Star Wars because I kid you not. Disney, you've got my money for The Mandalorian. That looks awesome.
That looks really good.
And here's the thing.
What about the upcoming Obi-Wan series?
Hello there.
What if it's just him going, hello there? Just knocking on doors. Hello there.
You know, hello. If I was, you know, you just want him just to show up at your house and say hello there. That was just the greatest.
Can I get you on my answering machine?
Hello there.
Obi-Wan. It's his new business. He puts his voice on answering machines. Poor Obi.
But the Mandalorian.
If they go Darth
Ray.
Like, I mean, the whole series, the whole thing to me, DJ was all excited. He's like, if she goes dark and then Ben goes light, like a switch.
Like a switch?
I'm just like, no.
That wouldn't work.
That's not
going to work.
No,
That's not gonna
that
work.
would betray everything everybody believes in this series so far. That she is the new great hope of the Jedi.
And that won't happen. Disney's not going to
And Rise of Skywalker. Okay, they've already had the Last Jedi. So who's the Last Jedi? Her?
I guess.
We don't know.
I don't know.
Everybody's confused. We don't even know.
I've been confused from the get-go. The only
Confused.
thing I know is that I like Adam Driver. I think
I
he's
like Crazy Diddley.
I love that Razy Diddley. Adam Driver is probably the best actor of the bunch.
Niece of Bo Diddley. Dun, 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 dun.
If anybody gets that reference, please write us at boardgamesnobs@gmail.com so Gobby can
I
feel.
really hope it turns. The only reason I trust that it's all going to end up happy-go-lucky is because JJ is an acolyte of Steven Spielberg, who makes all his movies end up with a good ending.
Yeah, that's
I
Schindler's
like
List.
a happy ending.
Schindler's
Well,
List.
except for that.
He drives everything, making it really dark, but then he tries to upbuild it. Like he
Right.
has that formula.
Yes.
But the Mandalorian, I'm saying that
looks
right.
really good.
I'm saying that right now. That's Boba Fett.
Wait, what?
You heard it here first.
You're saying you think that is him? No.
I hope it's not him.
I hope not.
I hope not.
Let's do something new.
Let's do something new. But I guarantee you, now that they've canceled the movie, they're foaming at the mouth to make that something else. This is how it works.
Did you know?
I did know. Go ahead.
Speaking of, you say Steven Spielberg. I think Jurassic Park. I think Velociraptors. Do you know they were slightly bigger than chickens?
Yes, Kevin Bacon. Is that how you do this?
Yes.
Steven Spielberg,
I mean,
Jurassic
how-
Park, Kevin Bacon.
Like they were like terrifying,
They had feathers.
but they're slightly bigger than. Like I could kick a chicken. I'm not afraid of a raptor.
You ever kicked a chicken?
I've kicked lots of chickens.
You've kicked chickens.
They were in my way.
How dare you?
I've had
You've
dogs.
already got a call, a cease and desist from Zatarans. If PETA calls us about your
need
chicken kicking act,
eggs. Get away! I'm not scared of a chick. I'm not a chicken. You're a chicken. So therefore, I collect their eggs, and if they get in my way, I nudge them
you've
with my
never
boot.
collected eggs from a
I
chicken.
have collected eggs.
Where?
You don't need to know.
You don't know.
The
I've
Walmart,
store,
the Walmart dairy
I've
section.
checked, and I've been pecked by many of hens. What type of chickens did you have? Oh, I am hen pecked. Go ahead. Go ahead. Make that joke. I made it for you. Go ahead.
Oh,
What
kind
type of chickens?
Huh?
What type of chickens? White Rocks? Rhode Island Reds?
Obviously.
Domineckers? You
Yes.
don't even know.
Yes.
I made those
The
three
first
names
one.
up.
The first
You
one.
don't even know. You don't even know. The only chickens you've seen been from Tyson.
That's good.
That's good. That's really good. Underwater cities in terms of recommendation. Oh, Rike's here. Rike,
Oh,
nice to have you.
Yeah.
Glad everything's
welcome to the
going well.
program.
Keep us in touch since you're the president of the Discord. How's that going? It's not going because we
Yeah,
haven't got it
but-
set up.
because
Have you got
we
it fired
haven't
up
yet.
yet?
But it will be.
No, we
it
don't have
will
it set
be
up.
soon.
Oh.
And we're going to have a section on that Discord where you can ask Enrique anything. AMA, I think they call it. Is that?
Ask. It would be
Wait,
AEA.
wait, say that again.
Ask me anything. That's AMA.
Ask Enrique anything. AA.
Yeah.
Well, that's never a good thing.
Or against medical advice. Either one. You can answer whatever people say because you're like a self-help host. You like have insight into the world.
I guess.
What did you think of Underwater Cities?
Underwater Cities was a nice game.
Yeah, it's like a question. What's that? Oh, we're talking about this game?
Oh,
What do you think about
are we-
Underwater Cities? Underwater Cities?
Are we still
Yeah, that's the one we
discussing about
said.
this game?
Do you like it better than Terraforming Mars?
I don't think I've played Terraforming Mars, and if I have, I don't remember playing it.
It's been so long, we probably
been
haven't
a
played
while.
it. So yeah, but Underwater Cities, did you like it?
I did. It was.
How much on a scale of 1 to 10 chicken wings?
You're really basing this off
On chicken wings.
The ultimate of testimonies.
What type of chicken wings are we like?
What's your favorite
like?
type of chicken wings?
He's thinking hard about it.
Popeyes?
Oh, you got me. on
Okay, Popeyes. 1 to 10 on Popeyes chicken wings. Go.
I'll give it a 9 at least.
That is there. That's all you got to know right there. 9 Popeyes chicken wings out of 10. Friends, families, loved ones, We appreciate you listening to the Board Game Snob podcast. It is dare to say that Underwater Cities is approved by us, even though it's been late. We wish we had played it in 2018. This is probably my favorite. Yes, it is my favorite Vladimir Suchy design. And it's got an excellent rule book. It's very clear and concise. Even though the components aren't that great, it's still a great game. If you're into Euros, if you're into resource management, if you're into some light engine building, you're not going to go wrong with Underwater Cities. Anyways, this is Jerry. We enjoy you. Thank you for coming.
This is Gabby.
This is an.
Thank you for listening to the Board Game Snobs. Stay classy.